Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LTH product briefing. I'm Nikki Shaver, and I'm here today with Sean Curran, the CEO and co-founder of Gylo. Welcome, Sean.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you.
You too. I'm so pleased to have you on. Gylo is an offering I've been really interested in ever since it emerged, especially because the nature of its emergence was so interesting. You, of course, were with Travis Smith. I had just spoken to you. You were doing amazing things there with generative AI, and Gylo emerged from that work. Can you tell people a little bit about what Gylo is and how it got its start?
Yeah, absolutely. Gylo is a AI platform that we've brought to market over the last year that does assistant type technology that you kind of see with some of the other tools. So like general assistant similar to ChatGPT, but doing that for the enterprise rather than consumer. And then we have advanced workflows and playbooks that support a variety of different tasks across both practice groups and business services within law firms. But how it came to be, so my background is that I've worked in private practice as a technologist my entire career. I started as an engineer, worked at firms like Latham Watkins, Freshfields, but I kind of worked my way up from engineering to architecture and then head of department and then director. And so I've got quite a lot of experience of a lot of the different technologies that lawyers have used over the last 2 decades. And then with the release of these new advanced LLMs, having done a little bit of work with traditional entity extraction, just seen a huge opportunity for those models to be wrapped in a really sophisticated front end that allowed lawyers to get tons of value from them effectively. And I'd built a couple of technologies at Trav. One of them was an open source chatbot that I think ended up getting cloned about 200 or 300 times. I think it was very successful in the early days of the ChatGPT when it had just been released. But over the course of about a year after ChatGPT had been released, I was just having conversations with the board at Travis Smith and talking about the potential opportunity of some of the things that we had built internally and whether there was an opportunity for me to potentially leave and start a company and for Travis to effectively become like the seed venture investors. Not something they'd ever done before. Lots of other firms have been doing that over the years and it made sense to do that. So about a year ago, I left Travers and we set up Gylo as an independent business. And that is the sort of seed investment that we've been working through. But whilst the market seen it as a spin out, we hadn't actually built any of the technology. We've left behind a lot of the tech that we had there. And we really kind of started just from fresh when we left. I took the AI team and the engineering team effectively out. They came with me from Travers. And so we've spent the last year just really building Gylo out as a kind of traditional tech company. And the plan is obviously like other tech companies to go and raise additional external investment towards the end of the year.
Excellent. Really interesting start. And Gylo is such a flexible platform. I know it allows people to do lots of things, build out lots of use cases. So what are you going to show us today, Sean?
Yeah, so I'm going to show two core components of Gylo. The assistant, where it's similar to the kind of consumer assistants out there like ChatGPT and Claude. The real difference is that we are multi-model, so we're model agnostic. You can select from a variety of different leading frontier models. And we also have some of the other legal AI assistants, a quite advanced citation functionality, which obviously lawyers love. If the model is giving an answer, it needs to prove where it got the answer from. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on assistant and then move into our playbook building process. You could call them workflows, you could call them agents, you could call them a bunch of different names, but effectively it's a kind of end-to-end process where information is fed into some engine of analysis where there's like human verification through that process of what the AI has done to then produce some form of work product at the end. So I'm going to show quickly how to build a playbook or how a playbook has been built, and then how a playbook is consumed within our collaborative, matter-centric project where you've got all of the team working in there.
Excellent. And I will just say for people watching, this is a special product briefing because we're now going to see V2 of the Gylo UI. Brand new.
Yeah, brand new.
For me, brand new for everyone else watching it when it comes out. So exciting. I can't wait. Let's take a look.
Great, yeah, I'll demo it now. Yeah, we wanted to just get it out to our customers before showing it, because you know what it's like, you don't want to do a demo and then the customers are going, that's not the version we've got. But yeah, decided about 3 or 4 months, like in any kind of software engineering project, you build and then go, oh, we missed something and we should do that, and we missed something, you should do that. And I think 4 months ago, we realized broadly we could see what we think the next 5 to 10 years is going to be on AI. And rather than trying to retrofit an existing Gylo 1.0, it made sense to just effectively start again and rebuild and start Gylo 2.0. So this is Gylo 2.0 that you're seeing now. This is the dashboard that everybody gets when they log into Gylo. Similar to the sort of document management platforms, everything in Gylo is kind of matter-centric and project-centric. And we provide a personal workspace for anybody who logs into Gylo. We obviously encourage our customers to pull people away from the consumer AI tools and use an enterprise AI tool, but not everything in a law firm is project-centric or matter-centric. And this for the same reason that we have personal workspaces in the DMS, we wanted to provide a personal workspace within Gylo for people to do ad hoc chats that they might not want the rest of the team to get access to. So I just get a quick summary of my personal project, some of the recent assistants I have in there, there's some quick tips and guides. And then this carousel are all of the playbooks that are being published in the Gylo Marketplace. The Gylo Marketplace is internal to customers. So this is our own internal Gylo version. So our customers build these themselves. We do sometimes build like a starter for 10 pack of playbooks. So we call them playbooks. As I said, you could call them agents, you could call them workflows. They have agent behavior, they have augmentic behavior, they have deterministic behavior, they have AI behavior. I think the industry is getting a little bit caught up on labels. So we just call them playbooks because lawyers can go, oh, that's a kind of end-to-end process that's repetitive.
But it is good to define that because it's different from a contract playbook. This is far broader.
Yes.
Really use cases that you've built out effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the market, everybody's labeling things differently. We thought playbooks was better than workflows, but it was workflow because lawyers like the word playbook. But then we do have to clarify that it isn't just like a specific playbook for doing a markup on an NDA based on a house position. It's actually a kind of end-to-end process, which is what a playbook is. Other industries call playbooks the processes that they carry out regularly. And so we're just trying to make that term a little bit more broad, and we don't really think agents has just been a little bit overplayed in the market. But so these are all the different playbooks that we've built internally. You can have pretty much anything. That you can analyze multiple employment contracts. You can analyze one shareholder agreement, one limited partnership agreement. You can even have a playbook that categorizes documents. So one of the most common tasks in a law firm in diligence is you get the data room and it's just a dump of contracts and the client hasn't really organized them. And they're kind of asking the law firm to just categorize, organize, put them in folders, find the amendments. And so this is just a very basic playbook that just tags the document with what type it is. And then I can show you later, you've got an ability to kind of move that and structure that. So, the playbooks are really broad and expansive. So this would be more of the sort of traditional playbook that we talked about before of analysing a non-disclosure agreement, where you can effectively on the left-hand side add a variety of different prompts. You've got a heading where you can specify the heading type, the description, and then you build the prompt here. We have the ability to respond with text. So I just want a summary of the email. Is there a restrictive covenant? Yes, no. List out all the clauses in the contract, list the values. Is this email a smoking gun in an ethical breach investigation? If yes, return the number 10. If no, return the number 1. Or return the number between 1 and 10, depending on how relevant you think it is. Just as a sort of sidebar, I was quoted on this recently on a panel I did with some managing partners. I think one of the most interesting things about these LLMs is the ability to convert text to numbers based on a position, based on a set of thinking, based on what's market, based on how much of an ethical breach you think something is, which you can define in prompts. And so that's really powerful, certainly in discovery at scale, when you're looking to filter into the things that the model thought were relevant for you. Range of values, and then you've got generative. We just want to start generating some text. You also can pick from a number of different leading models within Gylo. So GPT-4o, O1, Llama, Mistral. We do provide DeepSeek if the customers want to turn it on. This is now hosted within the Microsoft Azure AI Foundry environment. So it's not like it's hosted in China or anything. Microsoft have actually done their due diligence on the MIT licensed open source version of that model. And they think it's a really good model to give to their customers. And so they've put it into the marketplace. And we just give, again, our customers the option to turn that on or off if they want to. Inside our admin setting, everything is fully configurable. So you can turn the models on or off if you don't want them. So some of our customers are transitioning their business from consumer ChatGPT to a kind of safe and secure enterprise assistant. They might just pick GPT-4o and O1. Some of them are doing volume-based analysis all the time, and it's not client-facing and it's not even internal-facing within the business. It's maybe 5 or 10 forensic specialists. They just want the best quality for the cheapest price because there's a ton of volume, and they would maybe pick DeepSeek or maybe Llama or Mistral. So fully customizable. You also have the option to deploy the models in whichever region you want internationally. You can control that. So just jumping back to the playbooks, you've got the prompts. One of the other things that we've added is conditions. If another condition is true or false, then we can do something. So if there is a non-solicitation clause, I might ask for certain carve-outs. So I might have a follow-up question. So I could just put in carve out, add condition, add condition. And this clause would only be called if a particular carve out existed within the non-solicitation clause. And you've got that ability to kind of daisy chain that logic. A much better version to demo this might be the witness statement compliance check, where you've got really detailed prompts and you've got if then else logic, but you might want to map that back to something conditional, because rather than saying to the model, if this then that, if this then that, if this then that in your prompt, and your prompt gets really long and the model doesn't really pay attention, we wanted to provide a way for customers to map that back to a kind of deterministic flow. You can make that a little bit more deterministic. So IP ownership assignment, ownership event triggers, and you only call that if there is an IP ownership assignment in the contract. So joining those together. So that's where you get a little bit agentic in Gylo. These prompts can be infinitely, you can have as many subs as you want, and you can call them one after the other all the way down. You might represent that in a kind of agentic system as like a diagrammatic kind of drag and drop where you've got nodes that are connecting. We thought that was a little bit too far-fetched for the lawyers and for the legal industry. So we modeled it in that way, but we fronted it as something that makes sense to a lawyer from like a document, like 01.1.1.1.1.2. It makes more sense in terms of the flow of the agreement and the way that they think about these things.
I really like the addition of the conditional logic, which is, like you said, that logic-based low code, no code in a way, but then presented here in a kind of more assistant prompty type interface. Does Gylo come pre-baked with some of these playbooks, or can you buy a set of playbooks off the shelf when you're buying Gylo, or is all of it for the buyer to build themselves?
We provide pre-baked playbooks. We build a couple a week and we give them to all of our customers. They can take them, they can edit them, they can amend them, they can tweak them. We are also, some of our customers will ask us to build them for them. And so we have the ability to do that. We have a kind of legal engineering team who can help the customer, and they say, this is my workflow, and we build the agent. So we build the playbook and send it back to them. There is an export ability here, so you can export the playbook if you want to export it, and then you can import a playbook up here. So we are like pushing them out to customers on an as needed basis, but we are also now finding it takes a little bit of getting used to in terms of how to build these. But we are now finding customers, once they kind of get started and they train up more tech-savvy lawyers or internal legal engineers within the legal tech or the tech team, that they're now building playbooks on their own. It takes a little bit of training, but you get there quite quickly. So that's the kind of the playbooks. I'm just going to jump into a legal tech demo project that I set up in advance of this. So we've got an overview here. So this is the project overview. We have team. This is where you can invite others in. So if I want to add Sam and Sam, I can do that. They're collaborating with me on this project. Everything in Gylo is matter-centric and project-centric. We have been collaborative from the beginning, and we think AI is a teammate for the project, not an assistant for the individual. That teammate is effectively the playbook, and you just want to build lots of them, and then you want to pull them into your kind of collaboration project that you're kind of working on. So that's the team. We have files. We've stuck with the traditional tree lawyers love. You can have, again, infinite subfolders if you want to. The ability to drag and drop that, having worked with DMS for 20 years. Sometimes you end up with 20 levels deep and you need the ability to scroll that across, and creating that folder structure with those documents loaded in. I can chat to any of these documents. So if I just want to grab a few term sheets, I can chat with them. That takes me to the assistant inside the project. Everyone else part of the team gets to see that. If you're asking questions and you're creating IP, I'll just write a prompt to show you. Summarize the key issues across these term sheets in table format. This is where we have the ability to select those models. I'm just going to pick GPT 4.1. That's my favorite model at the moment. And then the model will do that analysis. Now, this assistant, again, it's not for the individual, it's for the team. So if this becomes a knowledge asset that we're depending on, that we're using, then everyone else gets access to it. It's not, you're not doing an assistant and then sharing it. I've seen some of the consumer AI tools where you can like share your chat, and it's not really cohesive. We're just going to build this into the project. So these are all the projects that we have live. These just demo example matters that we've created. And then we're inside the Legal Tech Hub project. Then got those citations across those 3 term sheets. I think one of the other things that we do, certainly we've heard from customers, is I'm not sure why, but some of the other assistants have to deal with each document individually. They can do multiple documents, but they analyze each one individually. With some of the more advanced models like GPT 4.1, the context window is really large. And so you have the ability to deal with them all at once and pivot them across. So you put them all into the context window at once and get those citations. So as you can see here, we've got the citations. It's taking you to the part of the document, and it's highlighting those so that you've got the answers to what part of the document the model's provided that on. That's really helpful. It's taken us quite a long time to get these citations right. Obviously, we've got a slightly different challenge to other vendors, which is that we need to get them right for all of the models, not just one particular model. Now they work really well across a variety of different docs. So that is the assistant. Yep, pretty much similar to what everyone else has in the project. But I now want to just go and show the flows. So I started with the playbooks. I showed the a rough building process of a playbook. There was some other stuff in the playbook that I didn't show that I'm going to come back to. But let's just say that we've built a playbook to analyze sheets. So I'm now going to go into we have created a custom UI for that particular playbook that does that particular set of analyses. I've asked the question on the term sheet for the jurisdiction. Can the investor freely transfer the shares? What's the management share? We map that back to a slider because we use that range of values option, which is numeric. So you can now slide up and get the different documents depending on what they are. But all of that and all of this on the right-hand side has been built by that playbook building process with those prompts. We opted not to build a Excel-based tabular review, just having worked with lawyers for 20 years, the feedback that we built something like that before, but we had to get rid of it. The feedback that we had from practicing lawyers was that they very much wanted to see the document front and center. That needed to be what they reviewed. But the pivot, effectively, jurisdiction here, select the state of Luxembourg, it takes you there, and that's extracted that out as an entity. I've got comments and I can approve that. But the pivot was more document centric rather than column and row centric. And so we have an entire set of tasks that you can then manage. So each of these individual components can be checked and verified and approved and reviewed by a number of different professionals. So in a due diligence context, if I just jump back to our Atticus, these are all publicly available documents, by the way, like every other demo, but I probably should just say that. In our Atticus playbook, we've got 50 contracts and I want to filter by California. I can do that and I can get to governing law, California, and it will take me to the part of the document and I can then comment and approve. But from a task perspective, you might be wanting to assign the IP provisions to the IP professional, and that's all they need to look at in the diligence process. You have the ability to do that. They would just come in, governing law here, it's assigned to Aaron. I can go in, New York and Illinois, I can click on it and it will take me to the part of the document, Illinois or New York. So that's done a good job there. The model's done a good job of extracting that. I can approve it. I can comment, properly collaborative. This looks good. So really helpful.
Yeah, it's a great workflow for due diligence. Sean, are you able then to also extract or download a report of your review from the platform?
Exactly. So that's where we get to. So jumping back to the playbooks, we've done all that from a diligence and discovery and a whole bunch of other use cases. I now just go back to the playbook and we move into the second phase of the playbook, which is one or many documents in, AI extraction, AI presentation, human verification, collaboratively, and then production. Right, because that's the end bit. And so we had Excel as an export modality. It works really well, but customers were saying it would be great if you could actually just generate the DD report. And rather than doing that generatively with AI, where it just writes lots of text and it maybe guesses the next token incorrectly and it gets the wrong contract value or deal value, actually verify that metadata as a team, make sure that's the right value, and just use like a traditional document automation component to just inject it into an existing template. Because then you've not got the risk on the other end of generative AI hallucinating. And so this is where you have the templates for the output. So this is a very basic DD report, but obviously our customers who are doing this day in, day out can build anything that they want in here. But that's the flow assembly process. And if I just go back into the flows, we've done a bunch of different use cases, but I just picked the term sheet one and go here to flow wide assembly. Just load it up on the other doc page. We've now generated that output document with term sheet one, term sheet two, term sheet three, security type, ordinary share. You're getting very close to that production. So one of the things that we had with customers is they've seen the Excel export and they're like, this is all very techy. You know what lawyers are like with Word? The minute you pivot that verified metadata to a document that they're about to send, they would send the client most of the time. Obviously, there's square brackets in here, there's still things to check. But the minute you get to something like this, they can see the loop being closed. And that's been a real winner for us in terms of that sort of end-to-end process.
That's great. I can really see how cohesive the whole platform is, that you can work together here to do so many things and that the assistant is really baked into it rather than an afterthought.
Yeah. I think just having spent 2 decades working with lawyers and thinking about the systems that they use on a day-to-day basis and then trying to get them to use something like this, you really need to try and keep some cohesiveness around the features. This is another playbook where we've done a prompt that says, look for examples of fraud and rank it 1 to 10. If 10 being fraud, 1 being not, the ability to just go straight up here, analyze, ethical breach rating, takes you to the part of the document. So it's slightly different UI message categories. You've got dates, whatever you want, but it's different, same user interface, different functionality, all driven by the playbook, which is fully customizable by the customer.
That's great. Sean, thank you so much for showing this. It's such a powerful platform. And the fact that you offer services around building, you're pushing playbooks to the clients, and also they're able to build themselves just makes it really agile and something I can imagine people would really enjoy using.
Great. Thanks, Nikki.
No worries. I really think this was really insightful. For people who want to learn more about Gylo, we will put a URL across the bottom of the screen. Is there an easy way that people can get in touch with you, Sean?
Yes, Nikki, I think the best way would be to go onto our website, gylo.ai, available on Google. And in the top right-hand corner, there is a book me, which goes straight through to our calendar. And then we can have either myself or one of the sales team jump on a call and let people see more.
Wonderful. That's great. Sean, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you very much for having me.
And thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.